All right, let's get right into it. In this explainer, we're taking the incredibly complex world of banking AI and breaking it down into a practical, step-by-step building guide. Look, if you're operating in the financial sector right now, you already know that integrating AI, well, it's no longer just a nice to have. It's a critical competitive baseline. But here's the million-dollar question. How do you actually build an AI system that can securely process highly sensitive banking documents without triggering massive regulatory fines? That's exactly what we're going to map out for you today. And honestly, the clock is ticking a lot faster than you might realize. With DORA already live across the EU, and the EU AI Act's high-risk provisions kicking in by August 2026, a lot of financial institutions are suddenly waking up to a harsh reality. You've got a mere 5-month window to close your compliance gaps. The regulatory honeymoon phase, yeah, that's officially over. So it all boils down to this. The real question isn't just about picking the coolest, smartest new AI model off the shelf. It's about whether your underlying data infrastructure can actually survive this incoming wave of regulatory scrutiny. Can your platform produce the exact audit evidence regulators are going to ask for? Do you actually control your data governance, or are you just outsourcing all that risk to a cloud vendor? So here's our blueprint for today. We'll start with the financial AI mandate, then look at why RAG is the answer. From there, we'll map out the regulatory compliance blueprint, build the secure architecture, figure out how to defeat hallucinations and risks, and finally wrap up with deployment and human oversight. Starting with Section 1, the financial AI mandate, the evolution of risk. As the Moody's framework brilliantly illustrates, we are experiencing a massive evolution of risk. For years, banks relied heavily on Generation 1 traditional models. These were deterministic, meaning you put data in, you got predictable data out, and you validated them using classical statistical tests. Pretty straightforward, right? But today, we're moving to Generation 3 AI systems, like large language models and agentic AI. These systems act as stochastic super black boxes. They're dynamic, they're context-sensitive, and they carry intrinsic hallucination risks. So they require an entirely new governance mindset. Basically, our old methods of set and forget periodic validation are completely dead. As this quote points out, managing model risk now demands continuous governance, not periodic validation. You need dynamic, active controls embedded continuously across the entire AI lifecycle. You simply can't just check a box once a year anymore. Moving to Section 2, why RAG is the answer, bridging data and AI. So how do we safely bridge the gap between this unpredictable super black box and the strict zero-tolerance rules of banking? Enter Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or RAG for short. This is the architecture that's literally changing the game for financial services. Instead of letting an AI model just guess an answer based on its broad internet training, RAG forces the AI to ground its answers strictly in your verified external financial data. It retrieves the exact internal document, policy, or regulation needed, and then uses the AI solely to generate a readable summary based only on that retrieved text. And the hard data backing RAG up is pretty striking. It can handle incredibly complex multimodal banking data. We're talking dense tables, regulatory text, financial figures, you name it. In fact, research from FinSage shows a multi-aspect RAG system achieving an amazing 92.51% information recall on expert-curated financial queries. Meanwhile, data from Custom GPT highlights that implementing RAG can cut regulatory research time by up to 70%. And most importantly for the regulators, it provides the complete required audit trails with exact source citations. Section 3. The Regulatory Compliance Blueprint, Mapping the Rules. Moving forward, we've got to map out the specific legal requirements our new data infrastructure must actually satisfy. You can't build a compliance system if you don't know the exact rules of the game. It's easy to see how dense legal texts translate directly into hard, technical data infrastructure requirements. DORA Article 25 demands threat-led digital resilience testing. Over on the EU AI Act side, Article 10 mandates strictly documented governance for datasets, while Article 12 demands auditable, automatic data access logs. The regulators want to know exactly what data the model had access to at any given microsecond. To truly meet these stringent logging and resilience requirements, relying entirely on vendor-managed clouds is honestly incredibly risky. I mean, think about it. If the vendor goes down, you are the one liable. A self-hosted data architecture, or at least a highly controlled, localized deployment, gives you the absolute control needed to provide the exact data lineage and resilience evidence that regulators are looking for. All right, on to Section 4, building the secure architecture from the ground up. Now, with the rules mapped out, we get to the fun part. It's time to build. Let's take a look at the actual anatomy of a secure RAG system in action. Based on recent research frameworks, the core secure flow starts when a user queries the system. But before that query reaches the AI, it hits an orchestration layer. This layer securely connects to your document vector stores, which is where your sensitive banking documents are embedded. It controls the retriever, fetches the precise internal context, and only then feeds that restricted context to the generator model. But building this out safely requires embedding security at literally every single choke point. You have to implement strict role-based access control, or RBAC, so say a teller's AI assistant can't retrieve the CEO's private financial data. You need end-to-end TLS 1.3 encryption. You need cryptographic document hashing to verify that retrieved documents haven't been tampered with. And finally, you absolutely need real-time output filtering and sanitization to prevent sensitive PII or financial data leakage. This brings us to Section 5, defeating hallucinations and risks, the layered shield. Of course, even a perfectly architected AI can sometimes make things up. You cannot rely on just one trick to stop AI errors. You need overlapping layers. According to industry data from Branch 8, rapidly layering these specific mitigation steps can cut your AI's hallucination rate by over 80%. First, apply multilingual embeddings to your RAG system, because AI often hallucinates more in underrepresented languages. Second, require explicit uncertainty prompting. Literally train the system prompt to say, "I don't know," rather than guess. Third, implement self-consistency checks, where the AI generates multiple responses in the background and checks them against each other. And fourth, mandate human escalation workflows for when confidence scores drop. And you've got to apply these layers smartly. It's absolutely crucial to classify your use cases into a risk tier matrix. You allocate your heaviest, most expensive safeguards to the Tier 1 high-risk areas, like generating financial advice or regulatory reports, because hallucinations there trigger heavy regulatory penalties. Tier 3 low-risk tasks, like internal creative drafting, require way fewer friction points. Finally, Section 6, deployment and human oversight, the final layer. Let me be totally clear here. Deployment in the financial sector is never a set-and-forget operation. As AI shifts from just generating text into agentic frameworks, meaning AI agents that actually execute operational tasks across interconnected networks, continuous monitoring becomes absolutely vital. These agents are interacting with external APIs, internal databases, and even other AI agents. If an AI agent hallucinates while executing a multi-step transaction, the blast radius is massive. That is exactly why the Financial Stability Board stresses that human-in-the-loop oversight is absolutely non-negotiable. This means implementing hard controls, like dual human authorization for any financial transactions. It means spot-checking generative AI outputs over time for consistency. It requires maintaining version-pinned fallback models, so if a major provider pushes a bad update, you can instantly roll back. And it demands quarterly adversarial red team exercises, where your own staff actively tries to break the AI's guardrails. And this quote brilliantly illustrates our ultimate goal, courtesy of the developers at Codica. What launches today needs to learn tomorrow. Your compliance-ready RAG system has to feature continuous retraining loops. You need to safely feed real-world performance data, user corrections, and audit logs right back into your governance models to keep the whole system sharp and compliant. Which leaves us with the most critical, provocative question as you go out and build the future of finance. By implementing a secure RAG framework, we have successfully taught the AI to read the rules. But with continuous updates, shifting regulations, and autonomous agents coming online, who is watching the AI? Make sure your data infrastructure and human oversight teams are ready for the answer. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and good luck building.